Welcome into the Early Bird Pod here on Spotify. We appreciate you for coming in today. My name is Michael, the Early Bird Sturgeon, and we appreciate you coming in. Today's podcast episode is a good one. She's a doozy. Today we have a live conversation with our audience from Whatnot. Should you be a reseller? How should you sell? How much money can you make? Tips and tricks today, guys. You're not going to want to miss this episode. Please hang out, the Early Bird Pod. Find us on Whatnot at Early Bird Pickers VA. Check us out on Insta, Facebook, anywhere you can get the socials of the media. Check us out, the Early Bird Pod on Spotify. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Early Bird Pod. My name is Michael, Early Bird Sturgeon. Guys, we're going to have some fun today. If you are not familiar with how we do a live podcast, let me break it down for you. We're not selling anything. We are to be on a selling platform like Whatnot and not sell anything. That is not what we are here for today. We are here to help you out. For anybody who is a reseller or anybody who wants to be a reseller, anybody who's interested in reselling, this is the show for you. So we're actually recording live. This show will be posted on Spotify probably within the next couple days after the recording. You can check the show notes. You can go now. You can listen to all the other episodes that we have. We got like 6 or 7 episodes up, all sorts of everything you can imagine covering reselling. We do have some interviews on there. We have some great people scheduled to come with us, to come and hang out with us in the near future. So we're here to help you out. The topic today is going to be fun. What does it take to be a storage locker reseller? Where are you in your reselling journey? If you check, there is a poll up. I am going to give the results of the poll towards the end of the show. There's a poll up that says, where are you in your reselling journey? I'm curious. Are you curious, but you've never sold? Do you dabble a little bit? Are you seriously consider about being a full-time reseller? Or are you currently a full-time reseller? I have been a full-time reseller. I've been doing storage lockers for almost 15 years, a decade and a half. It's kind of crazy to think about that. I had all sorts of other, like, what I consider real jobs. I do not consider this a real job. This to me is like absolute fun. I love what I do. I love my job. So consider today kind of like a career day. This might help you make some decisions in your life. If you're thinking of either switching into this as a career, this might help you out. Maybe if you're struggling a little bit in your current career, or maybe you're already kind of dabbling and maybe you're doing it full time and maybe you're like, shit, I need to stop doing this. I need to not be a reseller. So this might help guide you a little bit. So if you have any questions at all, feel free, just drop them in the chat. I will get to them as soon as I possibly can. Again, I'm here to help you out for the Whatnot community. Those of you who are only going to be listening on Spotify, you can check us out on Whatnot at Early Bird Pickers VA. Early Bird Pickers VA on Whatnot for those of you who are only listening on Spotify. And for those of you who are on Whatnot, check the show notes. There's a link in the show notes. You can find the rest of this podcast on Spotify at the Early Bird Pod. First question I see rolling in, do you need a scale for shipping? Absolutely, yes. 100%. If you need to know like which scales you might want to use and everything like that, just drop us a message and I'll have Angie message you with the scale that she uses and everything like that. Good morning, Crazy Lou's Foot Locker. Thank you so much for hanging out, my friend. Appreciate you. So today I am your guidance counselor. I'm going to help you make some life decisions. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Superworld has a great question. It is my best find ever. That's a good starting question, Superworld. We'll deal with all these questions, take care of it one by one. So best find ever, it's kind of going to depend on what you consider best. So we don't collect anything at all. We really don't. If you see our house, like, we're not collectors. However, we do find some really good shit. I bought Bill Romanowski's Stores Locker several years ago. It was incredible. It had 8 or 9 game-worn jerseys in it. I've found gold, silver, diamonds. We did a collection. I mean, it's very difficult to think of the single most important item that we have. I'll say historical value that we found in Stores Lockers. The coolest thing that we found would probably be World War II spy memorabilia. There was 2 women that were from France or Wales, and they paratrooped behind Nazi lines to help take down the Nazis in World War II. So we found all of their stuff. That was incredible. If you have any questions, please let me know what it takes to be a Stores Locker reseller. Let me know, answer the question, where are you on your reselling journey? That might help out. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Money, time, your grit or self-determination, research, knowledge, networking, relationship, and your infrastructure of your business. We're going to help get this settled. Show them toys. Have you ever considered consigning, or do you consign? Show them toys. We have done consignment often, many times in the past. And yes, we absolutely do consign. If you're interested in consigning, drop us a message, because we'd be happy to sell your stuff, or I'll just go there and buy everything if possible. So let us know. So if you would like to be a reseller, if you're just curious and you're wondering, what does it take? Answer these questions for me. I got several questions that I want you to consider and ponder and answer for me, especially if you're in the chat. Do you like exceedingly long work hours? Do you like to spend 10, 12, 16 hours a day working? Perhaps you like an unpredictable stream of income. Maybe January you made $3,000, maybe February you made $50,000, maybe March you lost $25,000. Do you like dirt, grime, dust, filth, rats, mice, rat shit? Let's see, what else? Do you like sex toys that are not yours? Do you like pornographic photos that you should never see? Bugs? Do you like definitely bugs? You might like Stores Lockers. You might like reselling. Crazy Lou said he wouldn't like it any other way. That's right, my brother. But also, do you also like finding one-of-a-kind treasures? Things that nobody else has ever seen on Earth. You might be the second person. There's the owner who's seen it and you. Do you like history? I see your message, Tersal. Do you like history? I'm a history buff. So if you don't know about me and where I come from in my background, my mother was a history teacher, middle school teacher, God rest her soul, for 30 some odd years, 34 years, I think. My sister is a college professor. She works in history and archaeology, as well as anthropology. I have a long line of historians and professors in my family that love history. History is my number one thing. When I'm in the shower, this is a true story. I shower with the Antiques Rodeo show, or the Antiques Road Show on. I watch the Antiques Road Show every single day, constantly. And I do it because I'm addicted to history. I love it. Do you like unwrapping presents? Do you like surprises? Angie says truth. Do you like unwrapping presents? On Christmas, do you geek out on Christmas? You might like doing stores auctions. You might like it. It's a lot of fun. Do you like setting your own schedule? That's actually really important. Setting your own schedule, there's actually a kind of like a 50-50. It's kind of important to know this about yourself. How motivated are you to set your alarm and get to work when you don't actually have to go to work? I don't need to set an alarm. I wake up between 4 and 5 o'clock every morning. There's a reason why I have early bird pickers on my chest, because I'm always up. I'm the first person up. I'm the first person at a yard sale, at an auction. I'm gonna be that guy. Crazy Lou said it's hard some days for sure. Absolutely. And I will tell you that it does get a little bit easier. I've been doing it for 15 years, so I don't know any different. So basically, I just conned myself into becoming an early bird. It worked. A lot of people do not like setting their own schedule, and that's actually really important to know about yourself. If you're not self-motivated, this is probably not the path for you. If you're a type of person that, like, I'm a yard sale guy, so Saturday morning, 4:30 rolls around, I'm up at 4:30. Noah Baller, Storage Madness, I see you coming in the room. I appreciate you guys for popping in. Do you like being your own boss? To me, that was the most appealing part of getting into reselling. I like that I don't have somebody stupid that is my boss or my manager. That actually drove me crazy. I worked for years as a correctional officer. I worked for years as an English professor. I worked for years teaching police officers how to drive an EVOC. That was like the most fun part of my life. But Storage Madness says that she was a nurse. Yeah, I never had a problem with working. I had a problem with terrible bosses that were not good at being bosses. 208 Thrift Vintage says, how did you go about scaling up to a warehouse and more space when starting? 208, I love your question because I'm actually dealing with that right now. I will say that, so we used to have, we've been in this business for 15 years. We literally started with nothing. Miss Big Papa Pump, welcome in. We started with nothing. When I tell you nothing, we started with like hundreds of dollars. Hundreds of dollars. Noah Baller, I liked my job as a manager, but I still had a higher boss. Absolutely. There's always a boss, right? When you're in the public sphere, if you got a real job, quote unquote real job, there's always someone above you. And it's very, very difficult. So if you're looking for how to expand and how to grow your business when you're first starting out, it really does depend on your goals, if you're doing it full-time or not. We have another conversation that talks directly about that. So I would recommend you check out the podcast about the storage resale business. There's a part about reselling. There's a part about when to grow and when to get a warehouse. We're actually dealing with that now. We're trying to build a warehouse here on our property. So in answering those questions for yourself, you got to decide, do you think that you could be a reseller? What type of person are you? Just a little bit, for those of you who don't know, a little bit about me. I grew up in the sports world. I played football for many, many, many years. I topped out. I went to Holy Cross Division I AA wide receiver. I loved playing sports. I did not necessarily like the university that I went to. That could be another conversation for another day. But I will tell you this. What I did learn from playing sports for so long is self-discipline. And there's a rigidity inside of me that's like deeply ingrained in my soul. And that largely came from my perspective around sports. Basically, when I grew up, it was, if I'm not working to become better, then my opponents are getting better and I'm getting worse. Show them toys. I'll get to you accounting procedures. I'll get to that in a second. So my mentality has always been, I'm going to outwork everybody else around me. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to lift more weights. I'm going to run faster. I'm going to wake up earlier. I'm going to go to sleep later. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do more research than anybody else that is around me. When I was in college playing football, I had access to steroids everywhere. Like everybody around me was dabbling, experimenting, trying any way they could to get better. Either they were starters trying to go to the NFL, or they were second stringers trying to be first stringers, or whatever it was. And it was always within an arm's reach if I wanted to do steroids, and I never did. And I never talked shit or said anything negative about those people who decided they wanted to do steroids. Never. Good morning, Tucker. I see you, my friend. And the reason why is because I didn't care whether other people were doing steroids or not. I actually didn't mind it at all. Even though I had an unfair competitive disadvantage, to me, it was just a challenge. I wanted to outrun everybody. I wanted to win every single game. I want to win every single contest because I worked harder and I worked smarter than those people that took shortcuts. So I was the crazy person that was up at 4 o'clock in the morning lifting weights, before the session to exercise with the football team. I was the one doing research on how to get bigger, faster, stronger, and everything like that. I was after practice talking to coaches. I was breaking down my own film as well as my competitors' film for hours, countless hours of my life spent just on becoming better. And I've directly translated that in and moved it into buying storage lockers and reselling. So it's deeply ingrained into me is that self-discipline, and that's what it takes to really make it in this business. Anybody who is successful long-term buying storage locker are one of the most self-disciplined people that you've ever met in your life. I promise you. It's a very, very, very difficult job. Good morning, Jen. Welcome in. It's a very difficult job, what we do. And so if you are not the type of person that is self-disciplined, if you're not the person that can outwork other people, this is not the career for you. Have fun with it, buy a locker and kind of dabble, poke around a little bit. But if you do want to make reselling your full-time job in what you do, it takes work. It takes countless hours of painful work. Jen has a great point. We make it look easier than it is, 100%. And I think that's a problem, right? Everybody started watching Storage Wars back in the day, and I'm guilty of it. And I was like, that looks so easy. It looks so easy to buy a storage locker. And when Daryl Sheets and Renee and all those guys are bidding, and they're like, that's 1,000, that's 500, that's 400. The part that they never told you about is all of the bad lockers they hit, about the 2 grand pianos they found that they had to move in the rain, about the countless hours and moving and shifting, the back pain. Like, they didn't tell you about any of that stuff. So just keep that in mind. It's a lot of work. Let's got a question a minute ago that was about accounting. How, like, accounting and money and finances and everything like that. We talked about all that in a previous podcast. So check out the previous podcast. We go in depth, in details about reselling and about finance and stuff like that. So please check it out. Show them toys. Do you believe you have to buy lockers to be successful, or can you kind of source and piecemeal and still be okay? I'll give you a really good example of that. So I'm deep in the trenches. Saturday morning, I was on my way to a live storage auction. The storage auction started a little bit late, which was like 9 a.m. Saturday morning. So I figured I'd pop by a yard sale. It looked interesting. So I was up at 4:30, got to the yard sale at 5. The yard sale didn't start until 7. So I was there 2 hours early. That yard sale ended up being one of the best picks I've ever had. I spent $6,500 at a yard sale, $6,500 at a yard sale. And the reason why is because they had graded comic books. Their father passed away and he was a toy dealer. So they had thousands of G.I. Joe, thousands of original Star Wars, thousands of sealed cards, every card you can imagine, Garbage Pail Kids and everything. So on my way to the auction, I decided to take a detour, and I never made it to the auction. I never got back around to it. So I would say, it depends how you run your business. For us, we mix and match. We do buyouts, we consign, we do yard sales, flea markets. There's never been an auction that I have a problem with. I will go and buy anything if it's high quality. So 208 Thrift Vintage says, how many days a week do you go live? We sell. So we have 2 accounts. So we have our Early Bird Pickers VA account. We also, Angie, my wife, and my oldest son, they do a Korean snack show Sunday mornings. Check that out. Shameless plug. And so between the 2, we go live probably 4 to 5 times a week. And it really does depend on what our inventory is. Like, if I'm doing a pick, a storage locker all the way up in New Jersey, which is like a 5 to 6 hour drive, then we're going to be selling a lot less that week. So it's going to depend on my schedule, if that helps you out. So I'm going to break down a couple of traits, personality traits, and things that you might want to contemplate and think about when you're considering whether or not you should do this as a full-time job, whether or not you need to be a reseller, whether or not you need to even get into storage lockers. A lot of people I see in the are basically just dabbling and they're curious. So in the chat, the poll, where are you in your reselling journey? It looks like 37% are curious but have never sold. 27%, they dabble a little bit. We got only 12 people seriously considering going full-time, and then 19% are full-time resellers. So we got a gambit, but most of it are people who are just kind of curious, kind of poking around and stuff like that, who are interested. So this is going to be a good show, kind of covers the gambit. So one thing about this business is that I want you to become or to be very familiar with research. You need to be knowledgeable kind of about everything, right? I can't really imagine or even think of something that I haven't really sold or found in a storage locker. I've been doing it 15 years. We have bought thousands of storage lockers. I want you to understand that. Thousands of storage lockers I have bought, and every single storage locker that we've bought, I've learned a lesson from, and I remember it. In addition to the lockers that we've bought and won, I have bid on tens of thousands of lockers that I have not got. So understand that, right? So there's things that you can learn from bidding, and there's also a lot of things that you can learn from not bidding on these lockers. And you need to be knowledgeable about what it is that you're seeing, what it is that you're buying. So if a storage locker door comes up, or if I'm at a yard sale or a flea market, you need to have an idea of what it is that you're buying, because you need to know what is that your profit margins are going to be. So you need to understand not only about, let's say if you're big into Pokemon's huge. Maybe your expertise is Pokemon. Well, you might not want to get into specifically just doing storage lockers, because yeah, we find a lot of Pokemon in these lockers, but 99% of these lockers have nothing to do with Pokemon. Belinda Thrasher has an interesting comment. The whole economy is collapsing. America has fallen. Well, Belinda, I'm sorry you think that way. I don't think so at all. I think the economy, it really depends on how you're set up financially. What is it you're doing, and how is it that you make money? Some people are hurting in this economy more than others. We adapt, we overcome. There are issues, there are tariffs, there are things that I consider a lot. I actually pay very, very, very close attention to the economy, to politics, to world politics, to geopolitical issues. I am huge every single day paying attention to what's going on. And while on this podcast and on whatnot, I'm not going to take a political stance. I'm going to take a financial stance, and that is, I could give a shit what's happening in the economy. I'm going to figure it out. In 15 years, the economy has gone up and it's gone down, and we've gone through COVID, and we've gone through 2 kids. We've gone through buying houses. We moved from California to Virginia. We've had rainstorms. We've had broken arms and injuries and back surgeries. We've had all that happen. So I don't care. We're going to make it. Doesn't mean anything to me. Some things are bad in the economy. Some things are good. I don't care. I'm going to grind it out, and I'm going to make it through. Doesn't matter. So I'm sorry that you feel that way about the economy. Perhaps America is collapsing. I don't care. I don't think so. I think everything's going to be fine. I think things are very unsettled at the moment. I look at things long term. So I look at my business not for tomorrow, not for next week, but for how are my children going to profit, and how are my children going to be safe, and how are my children going to be taken care of throughout the work that I've put forth during my lifetime. So I don't care what happens to the economy today. I don't care what happens to the economy tomorrow. In 15 years, 20 years, and 40 years, are my children going to be set up for financial success based upon the platform and the foundation that I've given them? So I think we're good. I think we're going to be all right. And I think that put the people around you that have a much more positive mindset and people who are really grinding. Golden Poppy Shop says, reselling is probably a good place to be in a not so good economy. People are going to want secondhand more and more. Golden Poppy Shop, that's what I'm saying, where some people are saying the sky is falling and other people are saying, I'm going to catch that sky, or I'm going to sell you a piece. That's me. The sky is falling. Do you want to buy a cloud? That's my perspective. So Timekeeper Vault says, yes, sir, I just keep flipping. Like that's how you do it, right? And if you're not confident in doing that, then again, that's a really good thing. Then you should probably get a 9-to-5 to where you don't have to stress so much. But I'm going to tell you right now, let's talk about the economy real quick. There was a lot of people who had, he put that on his shirt. I love that slogan. There you go. Phil, do it. I love it. Phil, you make the shirt, I'll buy it from you. So here's the thing is that there's a lot of people who thought they had their pensions. There's a lot of people who worked for the federal government who were like, oh, I'm good. I just got to do my 20 years and I'm going to get my retirement. I'm going to get my 3% at 50 years old, or I'm going to retire at 63. I've had this job for 10, 15 years. And then you know what? You just got fired. You just lost your job. There's no certainty in any economy. If you are not your own boss, you are not controlling your own economic destiny. Let me repeat that. If you are not your own boss, you are not controlling your economic destiny, which means you could get fired tomorrow. You could be doing everything right. Everything right. Your company could be making billions of dollars on Friday, and Monday you're fired for whatever reason. If you are an employee, you are at risk. I see there's a lot of people in chat that are like, yeah, I work in estate sales and our business is booming because people feel they're saving money. Yep. I got laid off from Facebook 4 months ago. There you go. Easy to get discouraged. Just keep at it. Got to grind and stay consistent. Absolutely. The key is to not let anybody else control your money. Exactly. I love it. Are you able to buy decent healthcare insurance for a decent price? Buying with Beth. I am blessed to have a wife who takes care of all that. So I'm going to give you the lazy husband answer in that, Beth, send a message to Angie, because I don't want to lead you down the wrong path. I'm going to be super transparent and honest with you. So there's Angie in the chat. Yep. Honey and Salt says 3 streams of income at least. I mean, to be honest, 3 streams of income. Let's talk about that. So we sell on Whatnot. We sell on eBay. We sell on Facebook Marketplace. We have items currently going up for bid at Golden Auction. So we sell outright to all different places. I know everybody in our community. We moved here 3 years ago. I buy and sell from everybody I can. Absolutely everybody I can. All right. So getting back to the topic. So here's the thing is that you need to know the market value of your items. You need to figure out whether or not you should buy this storage locker that's in front of you, right? Well, in order to do so, it's really important that you have to figure out and know and have a deep knowledge base in a bunch of different fields. This job is not a job for people that don't like research. It's very strange to say it, but we are in a very research-intense field, research-intense career, if you want to make it long-term. Now, there are plenty of people that can take $1,000 and they can buy a storage locker for $1,000 and they can make $5 million. There are people that can do that. There are people that I know that have hit insane jackpots on the one and only locker that they've ever bought. There are people out there that do that. There are people that you know or may hear of that have bought one lottery ticket in their life and they became millionaires. There's people that go to Vegas and they sit at a slot machine, they put $10 in the slot machine and they are millionaires. It happens. So those people, The reason why you hear about those stories is because they're rare. That's not a long-term business strategy, right? That's really not a long-term business strategy. That's just right place, right time. It happens. And congrats to them. I show no hate. But more realistically is, if somebody starts out in this business and they buy a locker for $1,000, what's going to happen to them is that they didn't know what they were buying. They got kind of caught up in the moment, and now they have a massive pile of inventory in all different genres and all different fields that they know nothing about. So they have antique Barbies, they have modern comic books, they have sports cars, they have clothes, they have refrigerators, they have washer and dryer, they have every item under the sun, and they have no infrastructure and no way to sell it. And so what happens to those people? They go back to work. They go back and they get a 9-to-5 because they don't know what to do. So, question from the chat: where do you find appraisers for items you can't find comps on? Very good question. I just did this, and I actually just sent this advice to a buddy of mine, Americana. There's several really large auction houses. Bonham's is a good one. Clar's is another, a smaller one in Northern California. Bonham's has a couple of branches around. Heritage Auctions is huge. I love me. Golden Auction was really good to me. I recently went to Golden. They're in New Jersey. I drove up to Golden. I brought Michael Jordan rookie cards. I bought autographs. I bought ancient Egyptian artifacts. And they're going to appraise it for you. They're not going to charge you for it. You can send photos to Sotheby's. So I would recommend, if you don't have appraisers around you, if you don't know any antique shops around you, find a reputable auction house, or find a professional in the field. Check out Facebook groups. There's a lot of Facebook groups. When I came across the Magic collections, I put them in the Facebook group, and I'm like, what the hell do I have? Because I'm not super familiar with the vintage Magic cards at that time. I think I'm an expert at this point. So it's out there. It's out there. This is a business for nerds with really strong back. How's that? Right? You got to be nerdy to do this business. You got to be into everything. You got to really have passion about basically everything, right? Like, I'm a super nerd, super nerd. I may have come up as an athlete. I may have done MMA. I may have moved to Thailand and been a kickboxer. I may have done all this crazy shit in my life, but to the core, like, I'm a Saturday morning cartoon and cereal type of dude. Like, AK, I love you and I appreciate you. Just so you know, AK Thrift is one of my best shit talkers. The glare off your head is blinding me. This one's for you, AK. Thank you. Appreciate you. So, I'm a huge nerd, a nerd with an athletic background, and I love researching. I absolutely love history, researching, finding out about these items that you like. I got to hold a piece of Egyptian history, like, that had all the paperwork, all legit. Had all the paperwork. It was originally bought at Sotheby's in the 50s. I got to hold it in my hand. I don't need to own it. I don't need to own any of that stuff that I come across. But I know that on my deathbed, someone's going to say, what's the coolest shit you found? And I'm going to be like, one time I found several thousand pieces, like these pieces of this amazing collection. I found history from World War II, spies who went behind Nazi lines, and I read their books and their history. One of them had a movie. Like, I'm a huge NFL fan. Like, yeah, I owned Bill Romanowski's shit. Like, that's incredible to have that experience. I just pass it on to the next person, anything like that. Oh, AK Thrift, I absolutely love that question. AK Thrift says, will you ever compromise yourself as a seller for the sake of money? Because I know a few people have done that. AK Thrift, it's interesting, and it's a very touchy subject that a lot of people won't talk about. But let's go in deep, because I think that's a very important question. I have notes. I'm going to show you. I got notes. I told you I'm a research nerd. So for this show, my prep, here's my prep paper. And for those of you who are just listening, just know I have like 1, 2, 3. I have 4 pages of notes that I took to prep for this. And one of the things that I wrote down twice, and how can I read that? AK Thrift, no one can read it but me, I'm telling you. One of the things that I wrote down twice is that you need to negotiate fairly. Be a fair negotiator. And that gets to your question, will you compromise yourself as a seller for the sake of money? I just spent $6,500 at a yard sale, and I give fair value when I'm buying stuff from people. I try to. Sometimes I might buy something for $1 at a yard sale because I feel like it might be worth something and it's worth $1,000. That happens. I don't feel bad for that. It's just kind of the way of the world. But I'll tell you that, to me, I'm looking at this business, right? I've been in it for about 15 years. I mean, my family's been in it for 15 years. Like my wife and my kids, they grew up in this business. To me, customer service and long-term success is what makes a viable business. If you think about the reputable and the businesses that kind of make it, right? They're the businesses that you can think about where they're like, yeah, I'm going to keep going back to that person. That person treated me well. Like, I'm the handshake type of guy where I'm going to go up, I'm going to meet somebody. I'm going to end up dealing with really, with people who are going through like a lot of trauma and a lot of issues. And I have an opportunity to take advantage of those people. So somebody may have lost a father, lost a mother, lost a relative. They're reaching out to me and saying, hey, can you come and buy some of this stuff? If I give them rock bottom prices because I want to make an extra $1,000 off it, I'm an asshole, because that's their inheritance. I am not the type of person that's going to try and take advantage of somebody. It might happen accidentally. It never happens intentionally. So my direct answer to your question, no, absolutely not. I don't give a shit. I know a lot of people on Whatnot, especially a lot of people who are shady, who do bad business. I know who they are, and they know who they are, and they know that they run an unsustainable business and they have terrible business ethics. That's all right. Cheers to them. I hope they make their money when they do and everything like that. But to be honest with you, it's short term, right? It's like a fast burning star. Right? They're going to shoot to the top and then they're going to explode, and you're going to see them as they end up crashing to the ground. And you're just going to grind it out. W. Rush, I've been flipping since 1991. Every problem is an opportunity. Every hunt is a thrill. Every item that I can connect to someone makes me happy. That is a beautiful sentiment. Miss Vendor One. Well, hello there, Vendor One. Welcome in. Welcome in, Miss Vendor One. They're my not so far away neighbors. We do great business together. Chieftain One says, I feel it's like selling your soul to the devil. Absolutely. What do you recommend to someone who wants to sell but loves their 9-to-5? Do it on the side. Keep your 9-to-5. Go to yard sales or flea markets on Saturday or Sunday. Don't mess with stores lockers because it's too much work. There's too much trash. There's too much stuff you don't need to worry about. Watch Antiques Roadshow. Get into kind of that reselling world. Watch a lot of people on Whatnot, and you can find what's trending. And I'd say have fun with it. Like, one thing I've always wanted to do is I want to challenge another reseller to a flea market competition. And I want to take like $500 at a flea market, and I want to have them have $500 at a flea market and say, let's see who can make the most profit on that day, from this day, right? And then sell it all on Whatnot the next day. So challenge yourself to get good at it. Challenge yourself to make profit and everything like that. Like, you don't need to do it full time. Absolutely, you do not need to do it full time. This whole show is about that, right? Do you need to make it full time? Because it's not for everybody. Not everybody should be into this. Let's see. I'm a new seller, and it's really rough, but I'm not giving up. Absolutely never throwing in the towel. That's not how I roll. So so let me comment on that. And there's a bunch of people in chat. I'll try and get to it if I can. Grit and determination is very important in this business. I would never tell somebody to give up. I would never discourage anybody, right? Like, I'm here trying to help people get better and become my competitors, if you think about it, right? I'm training people how to be better at and to buy at stores lockers from me. And I do it because 15 years ago, if somebody was out there like me that was reaching out, I would have I would have soaked it up. I would have absolutely loved that shit. I would have been sitting taking notes because I just needed somebody to tell me, like, how is it that I do this? The simple stuff, right? Like, how is it that there's basic? Like, just tell me, like, should I buy this storage locker? Like, what kind of truck should I be driving? Should I get a trailer? I'm thinking about getting a trailer. How much money do I need before I invest in a warehouse? Like, is $10,000 too much to pay for that locker? Or, you know, all the budgeting issues, like all that shit. Like, I needed guidance and I didn't have it. So I love the opportunity to teach. As I said, I was an English professor. I come from a line of family that's all teachers. So that's kind of what I do. So I'm going to try and help out as much as I possibly can. We absolutely, and we learn every day. My Angie just said we just got great advice from vendor one, right? I made a phone call to vendor one, who's my buddy down the street, and I'm like, vendor, we're gonna build this warehouse. We're about ready to build a warehouse. You have a warehouse. Walk me through it. What is it that I didn't think about? What is it that I need? What are some advice? So you just got to think about it. AK Thrift says a lot of people think reselling starts with a locker or a pallet. I started shopping at yard sales and thrift sales. Absolutely. Like, I mean, we did it the wrong way. We started out the hard way. We really started out the hard way. We didn't do it the right way. We just kind of jumped into it and said, fuck it, let's see what happens. Let the chips fall where they may. I wouldn't recommend the way we did it, which is why I'm here trying to help you out from doing that. AK Thrift says, oh my gosh, English professor, I have my bachelor's in English. We're twins. AK Thrift, I have my bachelor in English. I have a master's degree in education, and I got like 70% through a PhD in education before I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to wear a fucking suit and tie every day. I'm not going to wake up on somebody else's schedule. I'm not going to be interviewing and begging people to pay me. I know my worth and my value, so I'm going to do it myself. And so I stopped my PhD. I'm definitely not better than you, AK. I just spent more money on a field in which I do not use regularly. Keep that in mind. So you are better off. You made a better financial decision by not getting a PhD. I have student loans like a motherfucker. But here's the thing. Here's the thing I'll tell you. I just went out to coffee with my one of my favorite human beings, with an English professor friend of mine. 25 years ago, he was my English professor and my mentor. He's actually one of the reasons why I'm in this field and that I didn't end up as a police officer. So I may not use my education as an English professor or as a bachelor's or master's degree. I may not use that directly, but I certainly used the people on my path that got me here. I certainly used my methods for research, and I certainly used my my dedication and my grit that I learned throughout my university experience in order to be successful in this field. Another question, should I expect to lose on my first few shows? AK, my minor was in creative writing, just to let you know. Just to let you know, I did that. I don't think you should ever expect to lose on any shows that you do, because I don't know what you paid for your item. So it really depends on how you run your business. And it depends where you get your inventory from. If you're doing storage lockers, if you buy a really good locker for $100, it might be very, very easy, even if you have a small room and no following, for you to profit on that locker. If you go to estate sales, your profit margin is going to be remarkably lower, because the middleman, middle woman, the middle person is going to take a lot of that profit out from you. If you have an attic full of shit that that you've been collecting for years, and you're just a collector and you just want to sell it, then you're not really going to lose on that, because it's sitting in your attic not making you money. So you might lose in your first couple shows, you might not. I know that on Whatnot, I'm a part of a bunch of Whatnot groups. There's a lot of people who run their first shows and they get a huge following. They get a huge, like, they get 40, 50 people on their first show, and then their second show they don't. So it really just kind of depends on where you're at, what you sell, and stuff like that. So AK, when you finish that book, let me know. Send it to me. And I'll send you mine. I'll send you my book of poem that I wrote when I was like, I don't know, 20 something, or I don't know when I was. Keep a winning attitude and you're always in the right mindset. I like it a lot. Um, so here's a good, uh, 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 I bought a comic book store and sold some of it on whatnot, sold some on eBay, kind of everywhere, stuff like that. Buy the Book Comics ended up buying like 8 or 9 pallets of comic books from me, and he was retiring and decided he was going to get into the reselling business, and he wanted a bunch of stuff to start, and he's a comic book guy. So he says, Michael, says, I met a great guy and bought a ton of comic books from him 6 weeks into selling. Are the initial $2 start losses to build customer base worth it? So here's the thing. So Buy the Book Comics bought pallets and pallets and pallets of comic books. He was very raw and very new to the reselling game when he bought those, but he was smart enough to realize he could buy years of inventory from me in one shot. So the reason why I prefer doing $2 starts, the reason why we prefer doing low starts, especially if you have years of inventory, is that you might lose on the first 2, 3, 4, 5 shows. You might lose money on those shows, but you might also gain a large customer base because of it. I don't think we ever have things that start over $5, and we sell some of the most expensive items that you could possibly buy, like 18 karat gold and diamond jewelry. We sell vehicles, Pokemon, everything you can imagine. We sell really, really good stuff. And I'm just telling you, it's just the way that we do it, is that we have low starts. We've just gotten into like reduced shipping and things of that nature, because it does build out your customer base. We're just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Let's think about it from a buyer's point of view. Let's say you're shopping and there's 100 people who are selling on Whatnot. They're all selling comic books. You want to buy comic books. Some people are starting their comic books at $1. Some people are starting their comic books at $10, and some are starting it at $50. Common sense says, which room do you want to be in? Let's say all the books are the same. You're going to be in the room that has $1 comic book starts, because you might be able to steal stuff. You might be able to get better deals, right? We all want good deals. So the low starts are going to give you a larger audience in general. So keep that in mind. Is it worth it to be a reseller? Shit, yeah, it's worth it to be a reseller. I love being a reseller. We sold for last year, 2024. We just finished our taxes. We sold for, so not profit, we sold for over $500,000 last year. So, and the most important thing is not that we sold for over $500,000. It's that I fucking loved every minute of it. I loved all of the storage lockers that I got. Even when boxes are falling on me, even as I have an N95 mask because it's so dusty and dirty and disgusting, every single sealed 1999 Pokemon pack that I found, all of it, I fucking love it. So I'm telling you right now, if you gave me $100 million, I would buy a storage locker tomorrow in a bigger truck. That's it. That's all I would do different. That's it. I love what I do. I absolutely love reselling. I love the research. I love connecting. I love networking. I love figuring out Whatnot, how to resell and everything like that. Greg, I have a horrible boss. It's funny. The chase is fun. And Greg has a good point, right? It's learning. Every single time I buy, every conversation I have, every item I purchase, I got to research it. I got to figure out what it is and how much this thing is worth. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So yes, there are negative parts of this business, just like everything else. But if I don't want to work that day, then I don't have to work. Basically, I work all day though. I do work 8, 10, 12, 16, 18-hour days. I work a lot. So just keep that in mind. So you need to know a little bit about everything to be successful in this business. And you need to take that knowledge and you need to buy accordingly. That's very difficult to do. If you're going to get into this business and be successful, self-discipline and self-control is one of the most difficult things to master. How do you find the Whatnot groups you're in? Minus, can you explain that? Because I don't really understand the question, but help me out. I'd be happy to answer your question. Just break it down for me that I can ask it in a different way if you could. It might help me understand it better. Make sure I lead you in the right direction. So you need to bid accordingly. That means self-discipline. So that means if you have $1,000 to spend and $1,000 is your budget to buy your first storage locker, that means you don't spend 1,001. That's what it means to bid and buy accordingly, right? So you're now knowledgeable. Yeah, AK, I'll get to that in a minute. So you're now knowledgeable. You know a little bit about everything. You've dabbled a little bit, but now you need to bid accordingly. And I'm telling you right now, buying storage lockers is the fastest way to go broke. It is the fastest way. It's one of the only businesses and only jobs that you can have where you can lose everything today. You can buy a storage locker for 50 grand and inside it is empty boxes. We've done that for a $12,000 locker or $10,000 locker. We've done it for empty boxes of shoes. We found chemicals. We found body parts. We found all sorts of terrible things in these storage lockers that we spend a lot of money on. And you got to be self-disciplined. So you need experience. You got to realize, like, you can never compromise your family, your house. You cannot risk that stuff in order to be successful. I'm telling you. Okay, Minus, I understand your question. So perhaps categories of whatnot groups we sell. So Early Bird Pickers VA, we sell in the storage auction category. My wife, she sells on Early Mama Bird account. She does Korean snacks. She sells in the snack food category. Maybe that's the question you're asking. But the storage auction category, not only because we do storage auctions, but because, I mean, to be honest, we sell everything. So in a single show, like a show yesterday, we sold graded Pokemon, Star Wars figure, metal lunchboxes, G.I. Joes, jewelry, everything. Things like that. Maybe he was asking about what Facebook whatnot groups. I have no idea what Facebook whatnot groups. I'm in a bunch of them. I'm super active in them. I'm not active like talking in them, but I do follow a lot in those categories. So the discussion earlier groups you mentioned. Okay, I think that answers. So Minus, if you're on Facebook and if you just type in whatnot, there'll be like places where you could basically post your shows, maybe get a following. There's places to grow. There's also people like me. I know Noah Baller is all over Facebook, trying to help people out, trying to get people to do the right things and helping them with issues that they might have. There's a couple people who are on there who are helping out. So you can find all those Facebook groups. If you can't find them, shoot me a private message and let me know. Ooh, interesting. We've been doing lockers in estates for 3 years now, working on building a following. First couple of shows definitely cost us. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to build a following. It's very, very difficult to build a following. Most people who are on whatnot definitely struggle when they start. Bella, you're never late. Don't worry, Bella. Whenever you show up, you're always on time. That's my wonderful moderator. I love Bella. Love me some Bella. AK, AK, can I mod you as well, my friend? Just don't kick everybody out. So the best thing I've ever found, I love an addiction. I've talked about that one earlier. So now I'm forcing you got to go back and now you got to listen to the beginning of the podcast. So bid accordingly, self-discipline, never risk. I'm telling you, credit cards are so dangerous. A lot of these places that you're going to be buying from, you can spend $20,000 on a swipe of your credit card. I'm telling you right now, be very careful. Use your credit card wisely. Pay off monthly. If you can, do not carry a loan, a balance on your credit card. It's one of the things that my wife and I deal with. Like I'm giving advice to you and to myself as well, right? If you're going to be buying, you really need to know exactly what your profit margin and your numbers are going to be, which means you need experience in buying and selling. That it's really important. I would say start at thrift shops. It's really important. Stay away from credit cards in all aspects unless you need a higher credit scores. There you go. I mean, we do a lot of our large purchases using credit cards because we get points that way, right? Like and then we just turn those points into cash, like rebates and refunds and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Someone says, I use my credit cards as a debit card and pay off every week for the points. If you're disciplined and you can do that, it is so difficult, so difficult. The ones who don't share knowledge, I don't understand them. Competition is good to a point, but it helps the market, and just in my opinion. So there's Binky 1971. Thank you. Thank you very much for saying that, because I have friends in this business who I'm personal friends with, who think that I'm an asshole because I'm giving away secrets to this business. I'm not going to put them on blast, but you know who you are. You might be in the room. Who are like, why are you telling people where to buy storage lockers? Why are you helping them out? Why are you creating more competition? It's kind of my feeling the same way, where I don't care if I'm playing football and my competitors are doing steroids, because I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about you. I'm not worried about the thousands of people that want to get into this business. I encourage you to get into this business. I want more people into this business, because the more people are out there that are into this business means the more people that are interested in this business, the more resellers that are out there, the less people that are shopping at Walmart and Target. And so, to me, I love breeding healthy competition. I think, like, I want to stand at a storage locker. I want to stand in front of it. I want 1 million people to look at that locker, and I want them to be able to analyze it, and I want to be able to purchase it, and I want to be able to do a better job and get a better ROI, because I'm noticing things that other people don't notice in that locker. I want to challenge myself. There's a reason for that, right? Let me see. There's a good question from Milkman. Let me see what I got. What are some green or red flags to look for when finding storage units? Thank you for catching that. Appreciate you, AK. That's why you're our mod, AK. Thank you. Green and red flags when looking at storage lockers. Okay, let's go. Green flags. Things to look at when you're looking for storage lockers. We do have another podcast. We talk a little bit about this. The good things to look for: dust, dirt. You want something that's been there for a long time. You do not want somebody who's been in that locker that you're planning on buying. You don't want them to have been in that locker for years, potentially years. So what I look for is a locker that's been there. Like, I want to be in a locker that has been at that facility for 30 years. And there's no sign that that person has ever been there. They just basically plopped all their stuff in that locker, walked away from it. It was an automatic payment, and whatever happened to them, they lost the locker. I got it. And now everything in that locker is vintage. I want that locker to be big. I want it to be full of boxes. And I don't want it to look too perfect. And the reason why I don't want it to look too perfect is because of red flags. There's a lot of lockers out there that are set up lockers. There's a lot of speed bumps. In another podcast that we talked about, it's basically, there's a lot of scams going on. We talked about those scams. Check out that podcast. But I will say, you got to be very careful. There are scams and stuff like that. There's a lot of setup lockers. If you don't know what a setup locker is, check out the other podcasts and stuff like that. So there's a lot of red flags to check out. Also, my biggest red flag would be that you can't actually afford the locker you're buying, or you don't know how to sell the volume or the type of things that you're purchasing. So my biggest red flag would actually be to look at yourself internally as opposed to what it is you're purchasing. I'm not going to say that every storage locker that we buy is amazing, because they're not. And anybody who tells you that every locker that they buy is incredible and amazing, either A, they're flat out lying to you, B, they're not actually buying storage lockers that are at lean, meaning they're curated, meaning they're not real, or They're just straight scammers. They're not real sellers. I'm telling you right now. So just be careful. There's a lot of people on there. There's a lot of people giving advice that aren't actually buying storage lockers on a regular basis. It drives me crazy. Another person says they want it to be air conditioned. That's important. Absolutely. Bella, I'm going to talk about your comment actually. So Bella says, stay away from lockers that have a bunch of locks cut on the ground. I personally disagree with that, respectfully to my wonderful mod Bella. I like lockers that have a lot of locks that have been cut that are on the ground. And the reason why is because it does show, number one, that the person cares enough to save that locker several times. So to me, it means that they didn't take the good stuff out of that locker. And so you're going to find something of value in that locker. So let's say you get a locker and there's 10 locks on the ground. That means that that locker has gone up for sale 10 different times, which means 10 different times that they've had an opportunity to pay that locker off, and at the last minute they paid it off. So they cut the lock, put it in a locker, and they put their new lock on it. And that happens quite often because it's kind of a repeated pattern with the people that lose their lockers like that. And it means that they care about their stuff, so they didn't take all their good stuff out of there. So I actually like locks that have lockers that have a bunch of locks cut. A lot of people disagree with that. A lot of people do. Question: let's say you purchase a locker with large inventory of a specific category. Would you list in that category or in storage finds? I personally, we've tried this. So we've done other categories. We've tried the action figure category, sports card category, Pokemon category, vinyl record category, women's clothing, men's contemporary. We've done a bunch of different categories. Storage finds for us. Storage finds for us. It's a large category. The people who are in it are expecting all sorts of random stuff. There's a lot of resellers who shop in the storage locker category. And so if I got a locker that had only toys in it, let's say it only had Star Wars toys only, what I would do is I would do part of that locker, maybe 10 to 15% of that locker, kind of to show people everything that we got, run maybe just a single show for an hour and sold 100 items of these amazing Star Wars items. And then I would mix and match. I might have 10% of that that toy show mixed in with maybe some clothing items that I got, maybe with some appliances, maybe with some trading cards. That way I'm not disappointing any of the people that come into our streams because they know we sell all sorts of shit. So I might buy multiple lockers, which then gets into a fact that maybe we need a warehouse space. Maybe we need space to store it, stuff like that. Question that I see is, which is better to buy, climate controlled or outside units? I'll tell you something about that. A couple things, and thank you for the question. Really interesting question. Climate controlled units oftentimes cost more. However, they're almost always indoors. I hate indoor units because it's physically more difficult to get to those lockers, meaning there's a longer path to put the stuff into your vehicle. I don't want a locker, if I can avoid it, I don't want a locker on the second floor. I don't want a locker that's like deep inside catacombs. That's going to be difficult. And you also got to think about safety and security. This is important. I edge on the side of safety. Let's say the unit that I purchased is on the second floor and I paid $30,000 for that locker. And my box truck is parked downstairs and I'm the only person there cleaning out that locker. That means I'm going to be upstairs, deep inside a 20, 30-foot locker. It's going to be dark. Nobody is going to know that I'm there except for the manager. One person knows that I'm in that locker at that time, but the other person that knows is the former tenant, which means they might not be so happy with you that you are going to purchase their items. Even though it's legal, it's fair, like it's totally on them that they lost their shit, you might have a conflict brewing. You might have another buyer that didn't get that locker, but knows that you paid $20,000 for that locker. They might bring their buddies and show up and give you a hard time. But again, you're upstairs in the second or third floor. It's very dangerous for you. Well, you're going to take a cart full of stuff, one cart full of stuff. You're going to close that locker. Then you're going to go away from that locker and you're going to put that into your box truck, which means you have to protect either your truck and you also have to protect the items that are in the locker. That's if it's in deep inside a temperature controlled locker. So that means you gotta have padlocks wherever you're going. You gotta be careful. You gotta be paying attention. Like, I don't have headphones on when I work in storage lockers because I don't know. I want to know what's coming, right? People don't really think about it or consider their own personal safety, or people just want to steal your shit. Good morning, Rainbow Treasures. Welcome in. So you really got to pay attention to that. And if it's an outdoor locker, it's a fast and easy load. Also, you can see the dust and the dirt better. If it's an interior locker that is at a clean place that's temperature controlled, you can't really see how much dust and you can't really tell the age. If it's an outdoor locker, you probably can. You can see the bugs, you can see the dirt and the dust. I'm a dirt and the dust type of guy. That's what I look for. So it's a little bit more telling to me if it's an outdoor locker. However, if it's vinyl records, I want temperature controlled. If it's sealed Pokemon cards, I want temperature controlled. If it's high-end electronics, temperature controlled. So it varies. I know it's a long-winded way to get to the answer to that, but just keep it in mind. Just keep it in mind. Yeah, 10 by 30 with a single cart by yourself going to the elevator. Think about how long that takes. It's terrible. I bought the wrong locker that smelled like cat urine for $25 and we made $600. It wasn't nice, but hey, you never know. It's a disadvantage of when you buy lockers and you can't be in front of them. It's really difficult. That used to be the best. I used to love storage locker. Bella, thank you for your compliment. I see that very much. Yeah, so if you are you don't like dust and dirt type of person, storage lockers might not be for you. You do got to think about it. It's also let's talk about hiring real quick. A lot of people want to hire people when they're going to get their storage lockers. Do you trust the people that you're hiring? Do you know them? Have you worked with them before? Are you hiring it from a reputable company, or did you go on to Craigslist, God forsake, and find somebody in your area that says, I got a truck and I'll move stuff for cheap? Well, guess what? If they're moving stuff for you and you're paying them $20 an hour or $15 an hour or whatever the hell you're paying them, and they find a Rolex, they find a box of Rolex and gold and diamonds and jewelry, my guess is you're not going to see all that jewelry, right? So you got to think about that. We don't hire people for our first time through storage lockers. We just don't do it. Just as a general rule of practice, when we buy our storage lockers, we're not hiring people to go with me because I don't trust people. I'm super, super paranoid. It's inside. I have high anxiety. I'm super paranoid, either for my own personal safety or that people are going to steal from me. It's either one. Greg, I do trust you, Greg, actually. I do trust Greg Brim. He is the magic man. I'm telling you right now. If you know any need to know about magic, I'm telling you. I just don't trust people. So I want to be the first person. Like, I'm the person, if I was back in the day and discovering King Tut's tomb, I'd have been the guy that would have gone first. Like, I'm the Indiana Jones in this team. I want to jump in front of that. I want to make sure. I want to be the first one. I want to figure out those equations. Like, I'm going to be that guy. So I'm going to be the person that you see that's climbing over the items, that's jumping into these boxes head first, because I absolutely love it. That's why I'm always armed. Yeah, that's a good point. Depending upon, but you also got to be careful because you don't want to transport weapons across state lines. So we're constantly in and out of North Carolina, in South Carolina, in New Jersey, New York, or whatever. And it's hard to be armed in California. Absolutely. Absolutely. Greg Brem, I don't want to be crushed by the boulder, but I do want to almost be crushed by the boulder, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. Yeah, Dave, thank you so much. Guys, if you're looking for any personal advice, send me a message at any point in time. I'm happy to help out the community. I really am. I love the storage auction community for the most part. It's like the most hardworking, amazing people ever. I see a comment. You can thoroughly go through the unit, then hire movers. That's the only way I'd hire someone. That's exactly how it should be done, right? It's that I want to be there. See, look at that. Look at that. The comment is still it's so funny. It says I want to go thoroughly through the unit, then hire uners. It's the only then hire movers. That's the only way I'd hire someone. And then, but even then, ... Stuff still pops up. Like you still never know. You can go through a box thoroughly and later on find gold, diamonds, jewelry, anything like that. So, Greg, by the way, I just picked up a bunch of vintage Magic cards. So we need to do a session, my friend. There might be some good stuff in there. I'm in Texas. We're lucky, and neighboring states have gun laws that are, yeah, that makes sense, right? So if you are going to, do not transport weapons across state lines. If you find weapons in storage lockers, we were in California for the first 10, 12 years. If ever we found weapons in storage lockers, I worked very closely with law enforcement. It was a phone call saying, we just found 15 shotguns, long guns, or whatever it is. I'm not putting those guns in the back of my truck. I'm telling you right now, guns are not important enough to me. The reselling on the guns is not high enough for me to risk my life, my business. Like, I'm here for the long term. I'm not putting a weapon in my vehicle and transporting it anywhere unless I know it hasn't been used in a crime or that it's legal to transport at that time. So know your state laws. I'm telling you right now, it's very, very, very important to know your state law. Storage Box NYC. I love it. I absolutely love it. They said, bring extra locks, masks, gloves, and garbage bags. And that I only trust my wife during cleanouts. You are just as paranoid as me, and I love you for that. So in my notes that I took, actually, it's funny because I wrote down a starter kit. What do you need for your starter kit for doing storage lockers? So I'll tell you my starter kit, what you need to bring with you, what I bring with me to every storage locker: gloves, mask, trash bags, a broom and a dustpan, hand sanitizer, food and water. That's important, food and water, because you don't want to have to walk away from that locker to go buy yourself food. A box cutter and a knife. Kraken, I forget that shit all the time. What's up, Kraken? A change of clothes. Someone mentioned about cat urine, right? You might not think about it. You might pull down a box that is not pleasant and you just are sitting there soiled. You do not want to be in that hot locker without a change of clothes. Extra locks, a headlamp, ratchet ties, straps, a tarp, and emergency supplies. I added a small knife to my keychain, solved the issue. There you go. That's kind of stuff that we bring. Greg, don't puke. Don't puke when you hear what we find out of these lockers. It's important. Like, it really is important to be prepared. And on that part of being prepared, let's talk about business infrastructure. How are you moving all this stuff? So to all the people who are in the chat right now, we got 71 beautiful people. We appreciate you. What is it? How do you move the stuff out of your storage lockers? Let's say you bought a 10 by 20 foot storage locker. Let's say it's 2 hours away. What vehicles are you driving? What vehicles are you driving? What are you renting? How big is the vehicle that you're renting? Are you going to do it 1 trip, 2 trip? How does this work for you? Bella says the Prius. Let's go. A Miata. What's up, Glitches? By the way, what's up? Box truck and a cargo trailer. How big is your cargo trailer? Let's see. Craigslist, moving guys by the hour. 16-foot box truck. I'm going to talk about that trailer. Another one says a truck and a trailer. Mutts Collectibles. How big is your truck? How big is your trailer? It's an important question. Bella says, I look at a locker before and then rent a U-Haul. Hire a person in the locker next to you who didn't get anything good in their locker. I did that several times before. I for Beauty. Good morning, Sid. Welcome in. Both the box truck and the trailer are 16 feet. Here's why I asked the length of the trailer question. We used to have I think it was a 28-foot trailer, something like that. We used to have a huge trailer. And one time One time I drove like 3 to 4 hours away. I hired somebody and I got to the facility with I think I had a Ford F-250 at the time or a Chevy 2500. And this massive trailer because it was a 10 by 30. And I got there and they said, no trailers are allowed in the facility. I said, excuse me? They said, yeah, we don't allow trailers in the facility because you can't turn around. There's no turnaround. You cannot pull trailers in this facility. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but it's happened twice to me in the 15 years. I sold that trailer right after that. And I brought smaller trailers. And that happens, right? Shit happens. Those are questions you should be asking the facility when you call them. If you're not familiar with the facility, before you buy the locker, before it ends on Storage Treasures, make a phone call to the facility and ask them questions. Talk to them. And one of the questions I always ask, can I pull a trailer? I got an 18-foot trailer and I got a 20-foot truck. Is it going to fit? Can I turn around? A lot of facilities will say, I don't advise that. I don't think you should do that. So Binky 1971 says, it took years, but I got a box truck specifically for lockers. It took me a decade. It took me a decade to finally pull the trigger and to buy vehicle infrastructure. And I'll tell you how it is we move lockers. And in the 15 years of moving lockers, it is the best and most efficient way that we have found so far to move storage lockers. POP says a Chinook. My family actually owned a Chinook in the early 80s. We used to go camping in that sucker. What's Up Glitches says a dump trailer is very important if you buy units. I'm going to talk about that. So here's our setup. The ideal setup. Our setup. So it took us years to get there. I would say buy all your vehicles at auction. Ritchie Brothers Auction. They're not giving me any money. They should give me money. Ritchie, R-I-C-H-I-E, Ritchie Brothers. They have vehicle auctions all over the world. And you can save 80% on a box truck getting it through Ritchie Brothers. I'm telling you right now, and they have them all over the country. I bought trailers in Southern California. I got a box truck and a dump truck up in Maryland. Super fair, super easy. They do have their own financing. If you don't have great credit, I think they can help you out in financing and stuff like that. Here's the thing. I used to rent U-Hauls all the time. And we'll talk about, Angie, can you remind me to talk about renting vehicles, renting U-Hauls and Penske's and stuff like that? If you go to Ritchie Brothers on their website, thank you, Angie. If you go to Ritchie Brothers on their website and just type in, I think they call them van trucks, you'll find box truck. They're retired Penske's. We got a retired Penske box truck. The Penske box truck that we got, we've had no problems with it. It's an 18-foot box truck. And the best thing about it is when it's full of stuff at the end of my day and I've busted my ass harder than I've ever busted my ass, I put a lock on that door. I go take a shower and I can go to sleep and I don't have to worry about unloading that box truck the same day or the next morning because I got to get that truck back up to return it. That was the worst part. Either you're going to have to rent that truck for an extra day just so you can actually take a breath, right? Because you've been in a store, you took a 4-hour drive, you drove for 4 hours, you cleaned out a storage locker for 10 hours, you took a 4-hour drive back, you go to sleep, you wake up, then you got to unload that box truck somewhere, then you got to clean the box truck, and then you got to drive the box truck back, return it, get in your truck, and then drive back and start work. It just doesn't make any sense. You are being unfair to yourself and unfair to your family when you do that. You're spending too much time unnecessarily. So I would highly advise you, right? It might cost you $500 a month to buy a box truck. To lease a box truck, to rent a box truck is going to cost you just that much money, but you could own one. So I'd say save up. If you can, pay cash. But I'm telling you right now, you're throwing your money away by constantly renting box trucks. If this is your full-time job, I'm telling you right now, this is the way you need to buy. You need to find a way to buy a box truck, or maybe even consider co-ownership with somebody else who's doing a similar business that's closer to you. So like Kraken and I are buddies. Like I know him and talk to him and can call him. If I live near him in Louisiana, I'm gonna say, Kraken, look, I don't got 20 grand for a box truck, but I got 10. You got 10? Right? Like you get it half the time, I get it half the time. Let's make this work, right? You can figure shit out. You can be creative. You can try and figure it out. I'm telling you right now. Um, so, so I'm talking about renting. If you are going to rent, there's nothing wrong with renting. It's kind of like, I don't want to rent a house. We own a house. I don't want to rent. I do everything. We did everything in our life possible so that we didn't have to rent a house. I'm telling you, we built our own house. We lived in a tiny house. We spent 6 months in one day. We built a house, a tiny house on a trailer. I had never built so much as a birdhouse in my life, but I refused to rent a house. And in order to get away from that, we needed to figure out a way to save money. So we spent $24,000 cash to buy a trailer and to build a tiny house on top of a trailer. It was all solar, completely off grid. And we paid $500 a month to park it in the middle of nowhere. We lived in buttfuck nowhere for 3 years. And that's the only way that we could save up enough money for a down payment to buy our first home. We lived in that. It's the only way. Like we grinded it out the hard way, but I didn't want to rent it. And I feel the same way about renting vehicles and renting trucks. So when that happens, if you're going to rent, you have around in California and around me in Virginia, you got like 3 choices. The main choices. You can rent with U-Haul, you can rent with Penske, or you can rent with Budget. I would never rent with Budget ever again. I did it several times. I would never recommend Budget. Their trucks break down. They don't take care of their vehicles very well, and they're not that cheap. If you're gonna, if the locker that you get is local and in town, it's cheaper for you to go with U-Haul. If you're gonna go far away, Penske is cheaper. The per day rate to rent a U-Haul is cheap. You can get a U-Haul rental for like $25 to $40, depending upon the size you want to get it, as long as you're returning it to the same place. One-way rentals are much more expensive. So I know it's getting to the nitty-gritty, but I'm going to help you out. This is the nitty-gritty of this business. And Greg, I see your question. I'm definitely going to get into it. Renting from U-Haul for local, if you're going to rent a Penske, it's going to cost you $120, $150 for the truck. It's a lot more expensive, but Penske is only going to cost you like 25 cents a mile, whereas U-Haul is like 89 cents a mile. So if you're going to drive 400 miles and pay 89 cents a mile, you made a mistake doing U-Haul. So, and Kraken says Penske is the way to go for a one-way and a distance if you're driving across country or whatever. Greg says, what would you brand your box truck for advertising your business? Greg, I'm of 2 minds of that. And the reason why I'm of 2 minds is that it really does depend. There you go. Someone answered exactly how I wanted to answer. So, Alls to the Wall says, if you're blogging and posting videos, then I would say, yeah, it's good to advertise, but you got to watch out for thieves. And here's the thing is that we're going to build a warehouse on our property, and we're going to protect it in every way that we possibly can. We have no problems with guns and weapons and safety and everything like that, and security cameras and all that stuff, right? But we don't want to attract thieves. So we're probably not going to brand our vehicles because I don't want to invite that onto my personal property. But it is free advertising. So it just kind of depends. It kind of depends if you want to do it and what you don't want to do. So let's see. Lots of things says if you brand the vehicle and get into an accident, they'll try and sue your business. To be honest, we run an LLC specifically for that reason. Is if somebody sues us, they sue our LLC, they might be able to get into our business assets, but they'll never touch our personal assets. So fuck them, let them sue us. That's why we pay to get an LLC, right? It's a better way to create your brands with lives and podcasts and stuff like that. Yeah. You also, instead of branding your vehicle, Greg, you also might just maybe put some advertisements on Facebook and say, for you particular, like I buy magic card collections. You might want to put up, let's go old school, right? Let's put some flyers up in your neighborhoods. Let's reach out to people in Magic the Gathering Facebook groups. I buy collections, stuff like that. Kraken is gonna brand his face with a big squid tattoo. Let's go, Kraken. I like it. So Tyson style, I like it. Binky says they have t-shirts with the company logo on the back of it. It's Whatnot Shop, eBay advertising. Absolutely, right? Like I'm wearing Early Bird Pickers VA. I'm wearing that hoodie right now. That's what I rock in. So it just depends. So is this business right for you? Maybe, maybe not. This business is not for everybody. I think it's important for you to start your business slowly and don't jump in whole heart and whole throat. So if you want to make sure that you never put your business and your family at risk financially. So you want to make sure with the moves that you make, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to run this business accordingly. You want to make sure that you're making the right financial decisions. So you really need to make sure, reach out to the people who are in front of you, right? Like I had a mentor. I met with my mentor who helped guide me in this path and who actually helped me decide on the city that I was going to move in 25 years after he was my professor. And I just had coffee with this guy. And I might be hiring his daughter soon. His daughter's coming for a job interview in a couple of days. So listen to those people who are in front of you. Like be humble enough to say, I don't know everything. So I'm going to listen to somebody who does know something. I made a phone call. I've been in this business for 15 years. I made a phone call yesterday to somebody who has a warehouse because I wanted to listen to their advice and say, look, you have a warehouse. It's approximately the size of the warehouse that I'm interested in. What are some things that I never thought about that I need to be aware of? And you know what? One of the most important things he said to me, he said, if you're going to own a metal building, when it rains, you're not going to be able to run a show. I never thought about that. I never even considered about how loud it would be trying to run a live auction in a building with corrugated metal roof. And so we're going to have to figure out a way to dampen that sound. And I'm so glad that I had that conversation with, it's vendor one. Please follow vendor one. I'm glad I had that conversation with him, right? I'm humble enough to know that I don't know everything. I know enough to get me in trouble. I know enough to run my business. But I sure as hell don't know enough about a lot, right? The older I get, the more I realize how much I don't know. When I was 25, when I was 21, I knew everything. I'm 45 and I don't know a damn thing. Nothing. Definitely got to stay humble. Soundproof ceiling. Greg, we're going to make some phone calls today. We're going to make some phone calls today. We're going to talk about moisture. We're going to talk about moisture barriers. We're going to talk about humidity and high humidity and whether or not you can actually put soundproofing, whether or not you can put like rubber spray. We're going to try and do this. But now I can at least know the problems as we're building. And so I'm aware of it because that's a question I never thought to ask, right? Amongst all the other stuff that we talked about. Florida Unicorn, good morning. Thank you so much for hanging out. White Rabbit, owning a warehouse is incredible. We had a 10,000 square foot warehouse and we were paying a bunch for overhead and it was fantastic. We had a great time in that warehouse. But there were leaks in that warehouse. That warehouse leaked constantly and it constantly caused problems. So for a year we fought against those leaks and it wasn't our building. So we got out of our lease after a little over a year. We moved everything back into our property and now we're looking to build a warehouse. We're we're ready to build a warehouse. It's coming. It's within the next probably couple of weeks. We're going to do our finalization for our plans. So in that, I know Retro Hunter, who's in Florida. He just built a warehouse. I think his shit just got finished. I know Vendor One has a warehouse that's similar. I know a contractor. Send me names, please. We're open to it. So I'm going to do the research. Like I told you before, I started this out having a conversation and just saying, if you want to be in this game, if you want to be in the reselling game, you want to be successful, like, you might want to be a nerd. You got to research. I'm researching about a warehouse. All to the well. Let me explain to you. So the question is, how does your podcast sponsorship work? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about getting off topic. How it works is this. And if you go into some of the couple other shows, you'll hear it. How it works is you pay a small fee, and I'm going to have a conversation with you either over the phone, or we can text message, or I'll send you a private message, and I'll say, what do you want to get? It's basically how it works is I'm going to make sure that you have your own personalized advertisement during our podcast. So in post, I would say something about your business. I would drive many people to your business, and in perpetuity. So whenever somebody comes on and they listen to our podcast episodes, yeah, Bella actually's done it. Kraken's done it. Bella's done it. And basically what's going to happen is I talk about you, I talk about your show, I talk about your business and stuff like that. That's how it works. It's just like on a regular podcast. I'm a huge podcast fan. You'll hear they run advertisements all the time. It's great to run it on a podcast because anybody randomly who's looking for storage locker advice or reselling advice is going to come to your show. Just so you know. Let's see. Do I have a VCR player? No, we're not selling anything. White Rabbit Collectibles says half of this business is research. If you don't like it, you're only hurting yourself. That is so truthful. It's so honest to be, like, I can't tell you just how honest that is you're going to come across piles and mountains of things that are worth thousands and thousands and potentially millions of dollars. I'm going to tell you a story that I think about all the time. I'm writing myself a message about who to write into after this. Okay, so there's a guy I know in the storage locker business who's been in the storage locker business as long as I am. And he is not the most research-based person or research-friendly person that I know. That's the kindest way I'll put it, because I don't want to talk shit about this person, because he might know. And if he doesn't listen to this podcast, somebody's going to tell him about it because people know about him. Anyways, he's got a big bankroll. He bought a storage locker full of comic books. I think he paid between $10,000 to $15,000 for these comic books. He had the comic books in his store. He sold those comic books for like $150,000 to $200,000. Sold it as one lot, $150,000 to $200,000. On the surface, he looks like a genius. I heard about that sale, and I dug deeper into that sale, and I wanted to know who bought it from him. Who the hell shows up with that much money? Because I know the person who sold it, and I know he didn't do any research on those comic books. And here's the thing. The person that bought those comic books sold that collection for over $2 million. In 3 months, the entire collection was gone and made over $2 million profit. Let me be clear. The person who purchased them for $150,000 did over $2 million in profit. Now, the guy who didn't do the research, the guy who paid 10 to 15 grand for the locker in the beginning, right? Like, fuck, this guy's a genius. He made a hell of a good deal. That's an amazing profit. However, if that person all that person had to do was make one phone call to any reputable auction house and say, I have this comic book collection, do you want to sell it for me? They would have came, picked it up, done all the research, done all the grading for him, and he would have walked away with a $2 million check. Chieftain said he must be kicking himself right now. And the problem is, Chieftain, is he is not. Is that he doesn't care enough. Is that he wants the fast money. He doesn't want to take the time to actually research what it is that he finds. He doesn't care. Which everyone runs their business differently. I'm not that kind of person. To me, I look at it not that he gained $135,000. I look at it that he lost $2 million. I look at that transaction as a $2 million mistake. Greg says, not me. If I went into that, I would have reviewed and bought it. Absolutely, Greg. I know you very well. You would have been incredibly thorough, and you would have went through every one of those books. You would have picked out all the gems, and you would have itemized them. You would have probably put them on a spreadsheet, and then you would have offered a very reasonable amount for that collection. And then it would have been a much more fair transaction for them. Bella said I would have called White Rabbit. Yeah. Or you know what? Call Golden. Call Heritage. Call one of these large auction houses and let them do the work. So, yeah, I just took a huge bunch of stuff up to Golden Auction, and they treated me really well up there. So we're making that slow money off of Golden Auctions right now. I see what you did there, Gilville. I see what you did there. So yeah, it's fun. To me, it's fun to do the research. I'm a research guy. I'm telling you right now. What's the one single item you sold that you wish you could take back? Ooh, Angie, I don't know if you're still here, Angie. What's the one item that I've sold that I wish I could take back? I'm going to be really honest with you with the answer to this question. There's the stuff that I quote unquote regret selling. I sold it for a specific reason at the time. And it's not necessarily that, like, I'm a skateboard guy. I'm an old school skateboard guy. I had and I'm an old school Beastie Boys guy. The Alpha Sapphire Mox. I don't regret that, Greg. I don't care how much money you made on that transaction, Greg. I don't regret it. I'm a skateboard guy, and I'm also a huge Beastie Boys fan. Like, insane. When I was 8, 9 years old, all I would do in the summer, I used to go next door and I would hang out with my buddy Kyle, and he had a lot more money than me. He had like 10 5-gallon buckets of loose Lego, and he had a nice stereo system, and we used to put in the cassette tapes of the Beastie Boys, and we used to blare the Beastie Boys playing with Lego, not saying a single word for like 15 hours. It was like peanut butter and jelly, donuts, whatever the shit else it was. And we used to just constantly. So Kick It, I can hear that in my head. F&A Treasures wrote Kick It. I can hear them saying Kick It and screaming it in my head right now. And so used to spend hours and hours and hours and all that stuff. And so I found several Beastie Boys rare skateboard decks in a locker, along with a bunch of Beastie Boys memorabilia. On the surface, I regret selling that, but to be honest with you, what the fuck am I going to do with the Beastie Boys skateboard deck? Like, hang it on my wall? And what's that Beastie Boys skateboard deck going to do? I'm going to look at it, it's going to collect dust, and then eventually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell it. I'm just going to sell it. So what do I regret selling? Nothing. I think everything that I've come across, I might have kept it for display for a little while. I might have put it in my house at somewhere, but at some point in time, I'm selling it. At some point in time, like, no regrets, no regrets. I don't feel bad for selling any of that stuff. I had a good time finding it. I had a good time selling it. Everything's for sale at some point. One of the only things that's not for sale in my house is like one statue from my grandma, 2 statues from my mother, both of whom have passed, and a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles head that was gifted to me by White Rabbit Collectibles. It's like one of the few things that I actually care about, because otherwise, to me, Bella, the Beatles Blacklight posters actually will be for sale on our show on the 26th. I'm going to take pictures and post them in the pre-bids today. We were just holding them temporarily. Yeah, everything's for sale. Definitely, definitely everything's for sale. We keep it for a while, we have fun with it and all that stuff. We don't have our feelings. We don't get our feelings mixed up with the stuff we find. We have fun. The If I was an Egyptologist and I was the first person in King Tut's tomb and I found the golden mask, I would want to keep that golden mask in my house until I ended up giving it to the museum. I would want to wear that mask and walk around my house and take selfies with it, and then that's it. I don't want to keep it. I want to keep some gold because I think it's a good financial decision for my children. Other than that, it's stuff. All the stuff that we sell, it's cool stuff. It's amazing stuff. Auntie to you says it's the hunt. Yeah, it's definitely the hunt. Can't have feelings about the stuff you find. Yes, the gold. How do you decide what items go into a show? Lost Treasures Depot. Good question. For all you sellers, how do you decide what goes in there? I own Joseph Bonepart's ring with 8 micro portraits. Damn, nice. What's up, DJ? You're not late. You're right on time, my friend. So how do you, for all you sellers out there, however you resell, how do you decide what items go into your show? Bella does live unboxing. Great decisions. No decisions to be made. I know that Vinmod does the same thing, right? A lot of unboxing. I don't want to decide. We're going to sell everything. I have no reason to do anything otherwise. I'm going to pull it out of a box and I'm going to sell it. It's one way to do it. A lot of people curate their shows. So they're gonna put on their shows. You know, they're gonna have, today's gonna be only Pokemon, only Magic, only comic books and stuff like that. We curate our shows based on what we find, and we want to give a good mix of stuff. So if you're live, if you can see me, I'm surrounded by treasures. So in this room, I see graded Wolverines, I see sealed Garbage Pail Kids, I see 1977 Star Wars packs, I see movie memorabilia that's autographed from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So what we run, we want to have a good mix. When somebody's in our room and they say, hey, do you have any vinyl records? I'm going to say, yeah, I got some vinyl records. And then the next time someone's going to say, yeah, we got an Infinity Gauntlet. Someone's going to say, do you have any Marvel memorabilia? I'm going to say, yeah, we got some right there. Someone's going to say, do you have Pokemon? Yeah, we got Pokemon. Do you have vintage t-shirts? I'm sitting next to an original Dead Kennedys t-shirts. Yeah, we got that too. Right? So I want to be able to have a show that's fun. I want to run it fast. I want to be as efficient as I possibly can with my time. And I want to sell phenomenal shit all the time. All the time. Diamond State, I hate you and love you so much for that comment. Any G.I. Joes today? For those who weren't in my show yesterday, it was a constantly just, let me see your G.I. Joes, let me see your G.I. Joes. I just picked up like 400 original G.I. Joes along with 300 original vintage, like 1977, 1978 Star Wars figs at a yard sale. How do you organize your stuff? So we have a problem with organizing our stuff. Christie's Vintage Collection, thank you for the question. We don't have a warehouse currently, which means you have to be incredibly diligent and incredibly efficient. So again, I'm going to be giving myself advice at the same time I'm giving you advice, right? I would say, depending upon what you sell, how you sell, like it's going to be definitely going to be individual. We try to put everything in tubs. My wife's really good at labeling tubs. Her nickname is Backpack because she knows where everything is. I don't know where everything is. Estate sale find, so that means you're going to get a bunch of different stuff all over the place. I would say if you go on YouTube, there's a bunch of different organizational videos. There's also, if you go on, you can look at Daily Refinements. Daily Refinement does a really good job. People have their opinion about him as a reseller. But Daily Refinement definitely does advice on how to organize, how to inventory and things like that. He has a very good system. He works at a very, very high volume, amazing, like crazy high volume. So I would recommend going to that route. Also, you can build infrastructure. Physically, you can build racks that will hold like black and yellow tubs and stuff like that. DJ says we pile good stuff and we pile junk, a little bit of everything. So Chrissy says I don't have a warehouse, it's just my house. No problem with that, right? We're currently in my garage. We got a house. We have a garage and a basement, huge basement, until we get this until we get the warehouse built. So I would say inventory intake is important. You want to make sure, just put it into some kind of a bin system, put it in bins, label those bins numerical, or actually write on the bins, and so that you make sure that you know which items. I would not recommend alphabetical, but everybody has a different system for that, so keep that in mind. Rhinoceros says, what are your daily affirmations and do you have a prayer? Rhinoceros, I have, I'm not religious. I don't look down upon people that are. Like, I don't know what's right and what's wrong about, like, I'm not going to get deep and philosophical into religion or anything like that. Um, I respect the hell out of religion, and I love saying hell and religion in the same breath. I respect it. I don't know what happens when we die. We might be dead. We might have an afterlife and all that stuff. I don't personally necessarily pray, but I do say thank you to the storage locker gods when I hit a good storage locker. I also say thank you when my children do well and when my family's healthy. So it's like an own kind of like my own personal prayers, but it's not necessarily to like a particular God or anything like that. Daily affirmations, I don't use daily affirmations. I used to a lot when I played sports all the time. And instead of daily affirmations, I've made it a routine to just be positive. Everything that you do, if you're consistently doing it on a daily basis, if you wake up at 5 o'clock every morning, if you go to the gym at 5 o'clock every morning, if you eat breakfast at 6:30 every morning, after a certain period of time, I'm telling you right now, it's not effort. It's just what you do. So I'm a very positive person by nature. Basically, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to say, I'm going to turn the page on the book. Whatever happened yesterday is in the past. Good stuff, bad stuff, it doesn't really make any difference to me at all. I completely turn the page and restart every day anew, every single day. That's my mindset. And so I don't care if I found a storage locker worth $500,000 yesterday. My hustle and grind does not change. I don't work any less because I hit a jackpot yesterday. In fact, I work harder the following day. We just hit a massive jackpot Saturday, Sunday on this yard sale. Guess what? Last night, looking at storage lockers that were up today, talking to a buddy of mine, do you want to partner on these lockers? So I don't really do that too much. Don't really need positive affirmations. I grind it out. I work. My family's all the positive affirmations I need. The harder I work, the easier their life will become. The better that my children will have it growing into the future. And so I don't really need like an exterior motivation when I look at like my beautiful children getting straight A's in school, right? My kids are grinders. My wife's a grinder. I'm a grinder. So I don't really need an exterior motivation for busting my ass. I don't need positivity. I just need to look at my kids' faces and my wife's face and say, yeah, I'm going to grind this shit out. My back hurts. I'm fucking tired. I work till 2 a.m. I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm going to drive 12, 16, 20 hours. And you know what? Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. The pain is temporary. My kids are going to take over the empire when I'm dead. And it'll be worth it to me in the end. So that's the affirmation I take. I got good kids. I got a good wife. I got a good family and a good life. So I grind it out and make it work. But that was a really interesting, really good question, to be honest with you. What do you do with all the stuff that doesn't sell? Donate it. Just we donate a lot of stuff, so just we love donating if we can. Did we freeze, Angie? My computer froze. I don't know if it's frozen for you guys out there. Angie, are we frozen? Mic check, mic check. I think my computer froze. I guess we're done. I know it's going to be quiet in here. I'm going to try and get you back. Is everybody in here? All right, you're back. Okay, cool. I'm glad you made it. We're good. We're back. Hello. Computer took a shit for a minute. Um, well, it's actually cool. I'm actually glad that it did. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate you. Um, when do you decide things that need to be donated? That gets into the question kind of how we sort stuff. I sort most things from the locker. Most things. It depends. If it's a locker that's really far away, it's less chance of sorting because I kind of got to hustle. Um, I basically have three piles when I'm doing a storage locker. My first pile is keeper shit. Second pile is garbage shit. Third pile is donation shit. And I sort accordingly. Getting to the vehicles that we use, I drive an 18-foot box truck. That's going to be what I'm going to show up to clear out a locker. So if I'm buying a locker, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive a van to the locker because it's comfortable, and I'm going to take some stuff. I'm going to make a decision. So I'm going to drive to the locker in my van, fill up my van with some good shit that I found. Now that I have my head wrapped around what's it going to take to move it, I'm going to usually take my 18-foot box truck to get it. Perhaps I chose poorly. Perhaps that locker's full of garbage. I have a Ford F550 with a dump bed. So I basically have a dump truck. So I'm going to throw all the garbage into the dump truck. I'm going to find a local dump, throw it all out, and then I'm going to take my box truck the next day. So I usually try to sort at the locker if it's possible. Now, if that locker's like 4, 6, 8 hours away, it's a one-way trip for me. Everything's got to fit in my box truck. So that's when everything is decided. Do we write off our donations? We do write it off if we can. A lot of donation spots. So if I'm on site, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I don't know where I am, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, boy, I need a truckload of donation stuff. All I'm going to do, I'm going to make a phone call to any local thrift shop around me, and I'm going to say, I got a truckload of donations. Do you take it, and are you picky? And if they say, no, we're not picky at all, we'll take whatever you got, then you know what? I'm going there. I'm definitely going there. So I oftentimes will donate while I'm on the road so that I don't have to take it back and I don't have to touch it again. My goal is to touch things as least as possible. I'm going to put it in the truck. I want to offload it. And then after that, that's it. Then after that, it's going to be shipped out and sold. So what I want to touch upon, we're going to be finishing up here. Get in your last questions. I might have missed a couple questions. My computer froze on my end. I don't know if it froze on your end. If you got any last questions, let me know. We got another maybe a couple minutes before we finish up. Couple pointers when you're buying stuff, things you need to know, whether or not this is you're cut out for this business. Self-sacrifice is important if you're going to make it. Self-sacrifice is actually really important. And that you really have to realize that shit's going to be bad some days for you. You're going to buy lockers that are not phenomenal. You're going to lose money sometimes. You're going to wake up and you're not going to want to go to work. And you know what? It doesn't matter. The next day is going to be a different day. Don't take it to heart. Don't sit and wallow. Just turn the page and just start the next day as if yesterday never happened, because it does not matter. That's my first pointer. Number 2, cash is always going to be king. If you're going to buy something, bring enough cash to pay for it, because you might be able to get a discount. You might be able to knock 10, 20, 30, 50% off of whatever it is that you buy because it's cash. You never want to be in a situation where you show up at a yard sale and they say $4,000, you can take all of this, and you say, well, I got $1,500. Keep that in mind. Cash is very important. Designer Exchange is asking about shipping dilemmas. We have a shipping show. Send message to me, and I'll have Angie answer any of those shipping questions. And we also have podcast questions about it. Efficiency tips for shipping is the same. DJ says, I see $1 starts are dwindling. Your thoughts? I think $1 starts are dwindling because people woke up to the realization that it's a very inefficient way to make money. $2 starts make more sense. Very crazy to think about that. Because of the structure of selling on Whatnot, if you're selling for just $1, Whatnot's going to take 30 cents on that transactions plus their percentage that they take. Depends the category and anything like that. So you really don't want to lose 40 to 50 cents on a single dollar sell, right? It doesn't make any sense. They charge a fee on the shipping. They charge a fee on the taxes. So you're talking about, if you sell an item for $1, I don't care if you paid a penny for that. You're going to sell it for $1. Don't forget, you have to ship that item, which means you got to put that dollar item either in a box or a bubble mailer. You need to get it there safely. So now you're really talking about, you're going to make a quarter. Well, you just took time out of your auction to sell an item for $1. Now, does it make sense to start it for $2? It does. It does make a lot more sense because of that 30 cents. You're not going to make a quarter. You might make $1.25. You might make $1.50 on that sale, which does make a significant difference between that $1 sale and that $2 sale. Now, us at Early Bird Pickers VA, we start at either $3 for a normal show that we do is $3. During our high-end shows, like we have a huge show where we're selling, realistically, we're going to sell probably $20,000 to $30,000 worth of product. We're going to be selling on the 26th of this month. We have a competition. And during that competition, we're going to be selling some of the most high-end exclusive items you can find. And you know what it's going to start for? $5. We're selling, I just picked up a first Deadpool comic book graded at a 9.4 or a 9.6. We paid a lot of money for that comic book collection, and it starts at $5. And I think that it attracts more attention. I'll give you a really good example. We're selling some very, very, very high-end items at Golden Auctions. If you've seen the Netflix show, you'll see the King of Collectibles, Golden. I've met their staff. They're super cool people there. They're in New Jersey, 6-hour drive and everything like that. And some of the items that we're selling, they're going to sell for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a single item or a single lot, maybe more. And they're going to start at $100. They don't care. It's going to start low. So if you go onto the Golden website, they're one of the most high-end auction sites that you can find. They're going to start there. They just started a Charizard Shadowless PSA 10. That card's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Started at $100. Within an hour, the bidding was at $190,000. I take note from auction houses like that when I'm pricing my items. We sell really good shit. We start it really low. B Square Trading Post says we start everything at $3 and they're not sorry about it. Yeah. Locker Blocker is one of my heroes. Locker Blockers sells amazing stuff. They start everything at $10. So I think it deters people if your starting bids are too high. I know it's difficult. If you're paying a lot for your items, it's really difficult to start at $3 and hope it sells for 20. In my opinion, you're gonna make a lot more. It's like you're going to attract a lot more bees with honey than you are with vinegar. It's like you're going to entice people to come into your room. You're going to grow your channel long-term, right? Long-term. This is a long-term business. You're the CEO of a company that wants to be here for years. You don't just want to make money for 2025. So you want to set yourself up for long-term success. DJ says, we're here at $3 also. It's a good point to let everyone know. Yeah. Long-term sustainability, B Square says. That's what our goal is, right? We could make a shit ton of money if we sold everything that we had starting at $1, right? And everything like that. But that's not the point. We want to make sure that we're here for years and years. Kraken says he'll be selling on Whatnot at 80 years old. Amen, my friend. Amen. Oh, we just had a guest. It might be on their first show. Let's see who pops in that says, Storage Auction Pirate. Never heard of that guy. What do you think will happen to Whatnot when eBay opens up eBay Live for each and every one of us? Guys, please follow. A dear friend of mine, Storage Auction Pirate, has a great question. So Storage Auction Pirate is a legend in the game. Follow him on YouTube. If you want to learn about reselling business, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, Pirate's one of the people that helped me out and help me get to where I am and help grow my channel. I pay a lot of attention to the path that he took. I wouldn't say like he's a mentor, but he's definitely somebody who I go to and text message, and talk to and say, just much like what he did to me. What do you think will happen to Whatnot when eBay opens up eBay Live for each and every one of us? Like, it's a very important question to think about and to move on from and to think about. So what do you think is going to happen? So eBay Live is currently in beta. and growing, and definitely growing. eBay Live, Ken Golden went on eBay Live recently, and within 3 minutes had over 8,000 people in his room. 8,000 people. Can you imagine selling on Whatnot if you had 8,000 people in your room, and the power that that would bring, and the prices that would also be correlated with that? So what I would say is, I think that the way eBay Live is in beta is actually remarkably worse than Whatnot. I think Whatnot is a far better product than eBay Live is in its current iteration. However, as we all know, eBay is the dinosaur, but they're also the elephant in the room. They also have billions and billions of dollars. They bought Golden Auctions. They own Golden. So I think there might be a point to where eBay does take over Whatnot. Pirate, please speak up in the chat. Whatnot's worth about $5 billion. eBay could buy Whatnot pretty damn easily if that's what they really wanted to do. I definitely think that could be in the cards in the future. Yeah, Kraken, it's it's not pocket change, but it's definitely something that eBay could afford. Let's just put it that way, right? DJ says eBay is playing catch up. It won't take them long. Big money talks and swings with a big stick. If they take over Whatnot, yeah, there's interesting comments in the chat. If they take over Whatnot, that would be the downfall of Whatnot. I don't know about that, Diamond. I don't know if that would be the downfall of Whatnot. Pirate says, I don't know personally. They're pushing to open live for us all soon, and that would also usher in a bigger upgrade for their live system. Absolutely. So I'm thinking about and working to push towards eBay Live. Again, just to diversify my revenue stream. If something were to happen to Whatnot, I sure as shit want a backup plan, right? We sell on eBay not because we want to make money. We sell on eBay currently because we want to keep our account relevant. And if anything does happen to any of the platforms that we sell on, we want to make sure that we ain't broke, right? Right? Absolutely. So I hate selling on eBay. I bet every one of you to a person hates selling on eBay as well. However, eBay is so powerful and so rich. I think it will have an effect, but their product sucks compared to Whatnot. Whatnot, even though they're kind of the scrappy, they're not a startup. They've been around for 5 years or so. I don't know if eBay would be able to do what Whatnot has done and to create the intimate community that Whatnot has created. I could be very wrong in this prediction. I foresee eBay buying Whatnot and using that as their kind of sister platform and taking it over. That's the way I see it, because eBay currently in its current iteration can't compete with what Whatnot has created and what Whatnot done. Whatnot is just so far past where eBay Live is. It's just different. Honey and Salt said Whatnot is TikTok and eBay having a baby. It's not. It's pretty accurate. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Whatnot's just great. Whatnot's amazing. I can be on here talking shit and making money and everything like that. Pirate says, Pirate has a meeting with the company Thursday to launch their storage unit category for them. I'll keep you posted on the details soon. Pirate, let us know so I can let our podcast people know what's happening. It's important to know what's happening in the industry and where we're going to move on and how we're going to grow, right? We need to prep our business for it. Like we got all these tariffs coming on. I feel bad for pallet resellers dealing with what's going on with the tariffs. Like, I think that's going to be affected quite a bit. So Lost Treasure says, I say Whatnot is eBay on meth. I say eBay on crack, but it's the same thing, right? But it's amazing. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Absolutely. All right, guys, we've been on here for 2 hours, if you can imagine it. Can't even imagine it. So we're going to be finishing up here soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the pod today. Again, I am your host, Michael Early Bird Sturgeon. Please follow us on Whatnot at Early Bird Pickers VA. Hang out with us go live from the storage auction. We do live unboxings. Come see what we get. Storage Lockers Live. The Early Bird Picker Pod on Spotify. Appreciate y'all. Till next time. Peace.